Hello and welcome to Total IELTS. Peter here, and today I'll be looking at IELTS General Training Writing Task 1, the total guide on how to write all letter types. Specifically, I'll be looking at the task requirements, how to plan your letter, the differences between formal and informal letters, and how to structure a high-scoring answer. Let's kick off with task requirements. In other words, what you need to include in your letter. Now, these are no great mystery and they're all in black and white in the public band descriptors task achievement criterion. And they are relevant and accurate content, appropriate format, a clear purpose, consistent tone, and all bullet points have been covered. For the relevant and accurate content, this means basically have you followed the instructions. To achieve a band 7 minimum, the content is relevant and accurate. However, you will be awarded a band 5 if you include any irrelevant, inappropriate, or inaccurate material. Appropriate format. This is how you structure your letter into clear sections and paragraphs that can be easily followed by an examiner. A band 7 is the format is appropriate. Band 5, the format may be inappropriate in places. Clear purpose. All letters must have a clear purpose. That's why you're writing the letter. And you should include this in your opening sentence. A band 7 is when you present a clear purpose, but a band 4 this time is the purpose is not clearly explained and may be confused. And you can also add to that you forgot to include a purpose. Everyone's favorite, consistent tone or style. Is it a formal or informal letter? To get a band 7, the tone is consistent and appropriate. But a band 4 will be awarded in task achievement if the tone may be inappropriate. And this means you might have included informal language in a formal letter or vice versa. All bullet points are covered. Band 7 minimum, all bullet points are covered and clearly highlighted. Band 4 is you have not included all the bullet points, and that means you might have included 2, but for some reason have forgot to include all 3. Let's move on to planning. Now, I can't stress enough the importance of planning for all IELTS writing tasks. For task 1, a lot of students tend to complain that 20 minutes isn't enough time, and granted there is a lot of instructions to read. However, 20 minutes is more than enough time, so always take several minutes to read and understand the task. This will have a positive effect on your task achievement score, particularly in content. When you do read the instructions, pay particular attention to who you're writing to. Now, this will always be stated clearly in the instructions, so there's no need to guess. If it says write a letter to your manager, this will be formal, or write a letter to your friend, informal. Now, there are some sources that say or claim there is a third category called semi-formal. Now, I would strongly advise you to completely ignore this and keep it simple. IELTS General Training Writing Task 1 is either formal or informal letter. If you go down the semi-formal road, this will just confuse and complicate your preparation for your test. So once you've read the instructions and decided who you're writing to, that will determine if it's a formal or informal letter. A formal letter can be writing to a company or an organization or someone in a position of authority, for example, a manager or supervisor. It can also include a colleague or a neighbor, basically someone you don't have a close relationship with. For example, you bought a set of speakers from a store recently and discovered that they were not working properly. Write a letter to the store manager. Informal, very simple. It will be a friend or family member. Now, I say family member, but that is extremely rare. it's most of the time write a letter to your friend, and it's someone you have a close personal relationship with. For example, you will take a short holiday in London next month and you would like to spend some time with a friend who lives there. Write a letter to your friend. Now, the language you use for formal and informal is very important, and if you fail to do it right, you will get penalized in the task achievement criterion. You can pause the video here to see the differences in language between formal and informal letters. So now we're ready to write the letter, and I strongly recommend a 6-paragraph structure and leave a blank line between each paragraph so the examiner can easily follow the message. Paragraph 1, state your purpose. Say why you're writing. Paragraphs 2, 3, and 4, that will be the 3 separate bullet points. Paragraph 5, use a phrase to close your letter. And paragraph 6, sign off. When it comes to writing the purpose, the reason why you're writing is always explained in the instructions. There will be a short situation explained there. So that's another good reason for taking your time to analyze the task before you begin writing. Here's a formal letter example. A road near your home is damaged. Write a letter to the council of your city-town to complain about it. As you can see, if you want to highlight the key words in the situation, go ahead. And the purpose, I am writing to complain about the condition of the road, specifically the A33 near my residence and the delay in commencing repairs. As you can see here, it's perfectly okay to invent some extra details. An informal example. You recently bought an electronic device for your home. Your friend wants to buy the same device and has asked you for advice. Write a letter to your friend. Dear Jenny, hi, how are you? Just a quick note to answer your questions about the new TV I bought last month. I hear you're thinking about getting one yourself. Now, as you can see, it's perfectly okay to use any name you like in an informal letter, and it's also okay to begin by a very short greeting. When stating the purpose, the language of formal versus informal is very important. On the website, you can find more details about this, the purpose of letters, and the differences between formal and informal language. Just click on the link in the description below. Let's move on to the bullet points, and every letter, formal or informal, will have 3 bullet points, and these are the instructions on the main content of your letter. The points usually begin with an instruction word such as explain or inquire, so use these instruction words as a guide to what you're going to write. After you've done that, you can expand on the bullet points by adding some additional information. Let's look at an example, and it's a classic formal letter of application. The international tech company has placed an advertisement for web developers in your local newspaper. Write a letter applying for the position. Now, the first bullet point says, explain what you're currently doing. So I've explained what I'm currently doing. At the moment, I am employed as a web developer for a local company that specializes in developing websites for local businesses. And I've added some additional information. One sentence is usually enough. You can pause the video here and read it for yourself. When it comes to the bullet points, do not copy the instruction directly from the paper. This will be deducted from your word count. And also don't introduce the point. For example, now I will explain what I'm currently doing. For the format or paragraphing of the bullet points, 2 bullet points in 1 paragraph. I've seen this in some answers where the writer has 2 bullet points in 1 paragraph and then a third point in a separate paragraph. Now this is okay, but it could be interpreted as inappropriate format by some examiners. So just play it safe and have one bullet point per paragraph. That's 3 separate paragraphs. And finally, the closing and sign off. The closing is basically a summary of what you've written in your letter. For example, thank you for your attention. It can also be a request for action depending on the function of the letter. For example, I look forward to your reply. The closing will depend on whether or not it's formal or informal. If you click on the link below, you can see the full table here for some phrases you can use for closing your letter. For example, a request or inquiry letter. Informal, hope to hear from you soon. Formal, I look forward to your reply. And the sign off again, 100% depends on whether it's formal or informal. If it's formal, you can sign off with phrases such as respectfully yours or best regards. Informal, you can write love, cheers, take care, etc. And don't forget your signature. IELTS General Training Writing Task 1 is a very straightforward task. No need to overcomplicate things and certainly don't overthink it. Just follow the task instructions. Adopt a simple structure for your letter. No matter what the function of the letter is, a 6-paragraph answer as you can see here on the right. And this will include everything you need to score well in task achievement. Preparation is, of course, the key stage. Take your time to read the task carefully. 20 minutes is more than enough time to write a short letter. You will understand the requirements of the task and especially who you're writing to, which will dictate if it's a formal or informal letter. Move on and state the purpose of your letter. In other words, why you're writing. Use, of course, the correct style, formal or informal, and limit it to 1 sentence. It's more than enough. Keep it short and sweet. Then the bullet points. That's 1 bullet point per paragraph, total of 3 paragraphs. Note the instruction word at the beginning of the bullet point, and once you've followed the instruction, expand with some additional information, but not too much. When closing the letter, use a very short phrase, depending on the function of your letter, and also in the correct style, informal or formal, and the same with the sign-off. And finally, don't forget your signature.